Hey guys, Chris here at Punspace in Chiang Mai, Thailand. I'm here doing this video at Punspace because I thought this would be the most appropriate place to do it, as this co-working space is one of the biggest hotspots for digital nomads in the world, basically. So today I'm going to be answering a question from a viewer that I got on Twitter, actually. So this viewer asked, I'm definitely inspired by your YouTube channel. I'm currently exploring all my options on becoming a digital nomad. Where to start? And look, that's a huge question, and there's literally so many paths you can take to sort of living this lifestyle. But I thought how to answer this question is I'm going to provide a framework for you guys, a bit of a roadmap, but you can choose your path within it. So I'm going to lay out all the options, and you guys can choose what makes sense for you. So throughout this video, I'm going to be following the 4 steps that I talk about in my free guide to location independence that you can find here. And basically the guide gives you 4 steps to achieving location independence. But I guess this video we're going to go a little bit deeper into the money making stuff and take a more visual approach to showing you guys the process. So first things first, we need to define the term digital nomad and sort of break it up. So in digital nomad, to me, it's got 2 components. You got the digital side and you got the nomadic side, right? Digital means you work in some sort of digital field, you're making money online, basically. And the nomadic side means that you're living somewhere outside your country, you're not in a fixed location for a long period of time. You might be traveling, you might be living 6 months in a different country and then 6 months in another country, but you're living a somewhat nomadic life. So that actually goes quite well into the 4 steps. So if we take a look at the diagram, I've broken it up in the 2 sections. The digital part, make money online, and the second part is the nomadic part. So the first step to being a digital nomad is you're going to need some sort of skills. You might have these skills already, but you might be starting from scratch. Either way is fine, but there's kind of 2 ways you can go about this. You can find free resources or maybe pay a little bit of money online to somebody to teach you this through the internet, basically. And then the second option is to get a formal education. So let's go through the options. For finding a course online, what I did was I went to lynda.com, which is this online training library. It's got everything from web design to photography to app development, business stuff as well. I highly recommend it. It's what I use to learn how to code, basically, and if you want to know more about learning how to code, definitely check out my previous video on how I learned to code. There's also Udemy. Unlike Lynda, where the authors are hired by Lynda to do the courses and build the library, Udemy is a course marketplace. So if you or I want to do a course, or anyone, we can make one, we put it on Udemy and the course creator split the profits, basically. So what that means for you guys is that you have to make sure you're choosing a good Udemy course. And you can generally find this by looking at the star rating and the comments and the number of enrolled users to see if it's a legit course or it's just some guy who thinks he knows a thing or 2 and throws it online. Lynda and Udemy are probably 2 of the biggest options, but there are hundreds of other places. I know specifically with the learning code stuff, there's freecodecamp.com, codeacademy.com. Those are both free, but if you want to pay a little bit extra, you can get really cheap memberships to sites like Code School and Treehouse. For the other stuff, just do a search on Google, try and find courses on, if you want to do copywriting, if you want to do digital marketing, you can find a course for pretty much anything digital online. The second stream of options is to get a formal education, and I do not recommend this at all. Basically, universities weren't set up to sort of facilitate people to take this lifestyle, to live this lifestyle, to work online, travel, be remote. So if that's your plan, you're probably not going to find the best education. And the other thing about it is it's going to take lots of time and lots of money. And by the end of a 3-year degree, half the course material is probably going to be out of date anyway, because this digital world is moving so fast. I highly recommend going with a course online and kind of teaching yourself. All right, step 2, you've built some skills, but now you've got to get paid for those skills. So how do you do it? For me, there's 3 options. Number 1, you've got a remote job. And the easiest, most reliable way of getting a remote job to me is getting hired with a local firm with the option of going remote. And this is what my friend Dylan did. I've got an interview with Dylan here on the blog. And also I'm getting together with Dylan to do a Q&A answering you guys questions on web development. So if you have any questions about that, definitely comment below, send me a message. But basically what he did was he found a firm in his hometown of Melbourne, Australia. This firm had remote teams, like they hired remotely. So he worked for them for like 3 months and then went remote, and he still does that to this day. The other option with getting a remote job is applying just for any remote job, so anywhere in the world. The upside to that is that there's more jobs available, obviously, because it's anywhere in the world. But the downside is you're going to be competing against everyone in the world. And when you start competing on price, that's when you're going to, really earn less, especially if you're from, a Western country like Australia, UK, Canada, America, New Zealand. If you're competing with offshore workers that are, from the Philippines or India that work generally under $10 an hour, then, you might not be getting enough money to even make it worth your while. That being said, if you were an expert in your field, you can probably get a remote job pretty easy because there's plenty of remote jobs out there for highly experienced people because, talent is hard to come by in the digital world. So they're willing to hire remotely if you're highly talented. The third option with the remote job stuff is to negotiate with your current employer a remote work agreement. And that's going to be, for most people, the hardest thing because some employers aren't going to budge. Especially like the culture in Australia is definitely not one where people are used to the idea of hiring remotely. So you're probably not going to be likely to achieve that. But if you can negotiate with your work or you do something that can go remote and you think your boss might be open to it, I recommend checking out the 4-Hour Workweek. This book is the Bible when it comes to being a digital nomad. You need to read it and read the section on how you can negotiate a remote work position with your current employer. The second stream of options is freelancing, and a lot of people take this option. And one of the biggest reasons is there's a new way of doing it. There's these online freelancing platforms like Upwork, People Per Hour, Guru.com, and basically you can either bid for jobs, send in your price, send in your proposal, and apply for jobs that somebody else has posted, or perhaps you can get contacted directly based off of your profile from the employers themselves and invited to apply, basically. The other method of freelancing is more suited to people that have built up skills, experience, reputation, and that's running your own sort of freelance business. And the reason why you'd want to have a network, an existing network and reputation, is because this is kind of a model where people find you and want to hire you specifically. That's great if you can do that, but as somebody starting out, that's going to be pretty hard unless you're really awesome at what you do, because you need to build this brand where people are going to hire you specifically, not just hire on the best price available or just anyone that can do the job. The third stream, of course, is starting an online business. And this is the most risky choice you could make, but also the highest reward. So if you want to achieve location independence in the most reliable fashion possible, you probably want to go with a remote job. But if you want to really be successful and you don't mind maybe failing a few times and you're okay with, say, maybe failing a bunch of times before you actually achieve that success, and you only want to travel with good income, then online business might be for you. It probably is for you, actually. So I've got a few examples here. One that's really popular around here at Punspace is dropshipping. And dropshipping is the idea that you sell a physical product, but instead of managing the inventory yourself, you get the supplier to ship it direct to the customer. So as you can imagine, you just focus on the client-facing, the customer-facing aspect of the business, and you just need your laptop, and then you forward the order to the supplier takes care of it. You don't have to handle anything physically, which is perfect for this kind of lifestyle, which is why a lot of people do it. Another idea is selling info products. Info products are like ebooks, courses, anything where you have these knowledge or skills or could teach people something or have something valuable to share. You can put that into a product and people can download it, and you don't need to ship any physical products or anything like that. With the online business stuff, there's obviously countless other ways. Those are just two ideas. But if you want to know more about the online business stuff, I can definitely get some like experts on the channel, and we can answer specific questions with that. So let me know. The alternative method, which we won't be discussing, is investing. If you're planning on investing, you probably should listen to investment advice, not me, because I'm not an investor. But if you've got some income coming in from investments, definitely listen to this second part, which is being nomadic. So I've got it down to steps 3 and 4. Step 3 is eliminate the barriers to freedom. So I've got 4 most common ones here. You got financial commitments, relationship commitments, over-reliance on physical possessions, and fear. So the financial commitments, it might be you have a mortgage, or you have a lease on a property, or you've got some kind of contract where you need to pay the bills basically. The best way to do it is to fulfill those obligations first and then go nomadic basically. The second one is relationship commitments, and this is one that I haven't really struggled with. I had a serious girlfriend when I left and still do, and the great thing about my girlfriend is that she wanted to live this lifestyle as well. So I didn't have to make the choice between my girlfriend and this lifestyle. I'm lucky in that regard, I've found, since I've been here, but you might have to make a choice between your relationship and going, and taking this lifestyle. I'm not here to tell you what to do, but if you want something bad enough, you will take the necessary steps to achieve it. So you might have to make a choice between a relationship and this lifestyle. But if you can have both, definitely have both. The third one, over-reliance on physical possessions. Now, I've had a few people that have been like, oh yes, the digital nomad lifestyle, I definitely want to live that. Yet, their apartment is full of stuff that they rely on daily. They can't live without their, 44-inch flat screen TV or however big it is. And they, need like a special room with like recording equipment. Maybe they're a musician. Let's say they're a musician, or they do some kind of DIY stuff, and they need their garage to work on stuff, nearly every day. Well, that's going to be hard to maintain while you're traveling, or even if you moved somewhere else, like having that specific room, making sure you have all those creature comforts is going to be a lot harder. But the good thing about this lifestyle is it's a good opportunity to practice something called minimalism, which is focusing on only having the things that you actually need, not the things that you think you need, but you don't really need. So it's actually a good exercise in minimalism to go traveling, take what you need, and as over time you'll see that you actually don't need a lot of those things that you think you need. Finally, fear. This is a big one, and it's such a simple thing, but it holds so many people back. And especially like if you're an older person and society doesn't really support you, packing up and leaving or being nomadic. People might, turn up their nose at you or something. You just got to get past that, really. I mean, if it's something that you want, it shouldn't matter what other people think. Like, if you want to live this lifestyle, go after it. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Usually, at the end on the other side of fear is, achievement and growth. All right, so step 4, and this is the one that I think is the most fun, is choosing your locations. And there's only really 2 criteria that your locations need to be, and the rest is up to personal preference. So number 1, you want your location to be affordable. So the reason why so many people are in Chiang Mai is for anyone on a Western salary, or even half a Western salary, Chiang Mai is very affordable. Where choosing a location becomes a problem is if you say, oh, I want to live in London. London is like one of the most expensive cities in the world, and you've got to make sure that you have enough income to sustain yourself living there. So it might actually be a painful process for you choosing your locations if you feel like you have to compromise on the places you want to go. Maybe you want to go everywhere in Western Europe, but you can only really afford Southeast Asia. I actually like Southeast Asia and want to be here, so for me it's not just cost of living, which is great, it's just a bonus. But for you, you might have to live in a less expensive place for the time being and just compromise on that. Sort of start at the bottom in terms of cost of living and work your way up. The other thing that you're definitely going to need is a stable internet connection. You're going to need this to, do meetings and calls. You're going to need this also to, depending on what kind of job you're doing. If you're a web developer, you're going to need to push code to the cloud and download it. If you're a video editor like me, you're going to need some, be able to upload and download video. And for the other options, it's up to you, basically. You can choose to live in an exotic location, a big city, a small city. It's really up to you. I know a few people that always want to work on an island or from the beach. They can do that. I know some people who like the big city vibe. They can do that as well. So as long as it's affordable and it's got stable internet, you can basically, choose anywhere. So reviewing the steps, step one, you've got to build the skills in order to, charge people for your services or build a business. Step two, you've got to get paid for those skills, or you've got to get paid for a service or product you're providing. Step three, you've got to eliminate those barriers to freedom. And step four, you've got to choose your locations. And I guess step five is just to do it, to just go. I didn't mention that one, but you just got to, at some point, book your flight and go. And that's a good point to remember is if you, struggling to make the jump, just book your flight in advance, because once you book that flight, you've got a date, you've got a goal, and once you get to that date, unless you just give up the flight, you're going. So that's a good way to hold yourself accountable. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you're interested in the topics I discussed but need some extra guidance, I'm going to be opening up my coaching program. You can find that at christhefreelancer.com/coaching. And basically what I'll do is I'll provide tailored advice on all the aspects I just talked about. I can also talk about anything that we discuss on this channel, like co-working, destination advice, anything like that. If you feel that you need some guidance, definitely go to that page and send me a message. The other thing I'm going to be doing is launching a podcast. I've met so many people on my journey that I just want to, have a conversation with and share it with you guys. So that's going to be coming out in the next few weeks, hopefully. So keep an eye out on that. That'll be at christhefreelancer.com/podcast. And as always, I appreciate your feedback and your comments and your questions. So please send me questions. Tell me if you like this video or not. Click like, subscribe to the channel for more videos. And if you ask a good question, I will maybe make a whole video dedicated to it like I did with this one. Or I might add it to another Q&A type video. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.